Are you ready for Marvel's Crypt of Shadows? Marvel has a deep history in horror comics, and it looks like we're finally making our way back to those roots and going to explore some of the creatures, ghouls, and ghast of the Marvel Universe once again. Let's break down the report. Well, Marvel Comics has a pretty long history in horror. Last year, we actually did a full highlight on these characters for Marvel's Month of Monsters in a series of shorts during the month of October, which highlighted all kinds of the various creatures from the early days of Marvel's horror genre, which really hasn't been on the forefront for many years. Marvel has a whole library of creatures we rarely see, and it looks like this October, Marvel is going to open up the crypt once again and give us a one-shot in Crypt of Shadows. Now, according to the press release from Marvel, Crypt of Shadows #1 is going to feature 4 spooky stories from a variety of creators. But this comic will actually have a framing story written by Al Ewing and artist Paul Davidson. And the story that's going to tie it all together is pretty interesting because according to the announcement, it will be Victor Strange, who is actually Doctor Strange's rarely seen brother who has become a vampire. Now, we don't have a lot of details about the other stories, but it appears most of these stories will see a Marvel hero teaming up with a classic Marvel monster, and we do have a slight breakdown of each one. Now, one of these stories will include Deadpool by writer Cavan Scott and artist Evmavla Perenick, and will feature Deadpool teaming up with a classic Marvel horror character, the Living Mummy. Now, apparently this is more than just a scary story, because according to Marvel's press announcement, this will set up a new exciting status quo for Deadpool. So I have the suspicion Deadpool might be infested with some mummy rot or have some kind of horror complications that his healing factor will have to keep at bay. Now, the next story will feature Wanda Maximoff, who apparently will be facing off with a terrifying new villain named the Bricklayer. Now, unlike the other stories, it doesn't appear like she's teaming up with another hero, but Wanda can stand on her own. And this one will be written by Scarlet Witch ongoing series writer Steve Orlando and artist Paul Aceta. Now, there's some pretty big horror pedigrees here because their work includes The Outcast and The Walking Dead, so neither are new to the horror genre. Now, interestingly enough, last year Marvel did their Halloween special, and the third story is going to take a character from that special. The third tale will feature Werewolf by Night, who is returning in his own tale, but interestingly enough will face off with the Hulk. Now, it's unclear to me whether they'll be fighting the whole story, or in classic comic fashion they'll realize they have a common foe, but I do like the idea of the two characters with such similar personal problems teaming up. It should make an awesome story. Now, this particular one is being written by Sarah Gailey, and the art will be by Eder Messias. And then the last story will also feature a character from last year's Halloween special, the Man-Thing. Now, in case you didn't know, the Man-Thing's touch actually induces fear, which makes this story pretty interesting because he's teaming up with the Man Without Fear, aka Daredevil. Now, the story will be written by Delkin Shavli with art from Alex Linz. And like all the rest, it's short on details, but it should be an interesting tale seeing the two Marvel greats team up for probably the first time. Now, we did get a cover for the whole project. Let's go ahead and check that out. The cover looks pretty great, but again, nothing's being revealed, and I think Marvel's trying to keep some details of this book under wraps because it should be a bit of a Halloween treat. Now, 2023's Crypt of Shadows #1 will go on sale on October the 18th, so we should get it in our hands just before the holiday, and hopefully it gives everybody a little bit of a spook for this year's celebration. I am curious on what you guys think about these horror characters from Marvel, and whether we could see a new age of horror from Marvel Comics in general. I feel like it's something that's missing from their current library, and such a huge part of their history. It's absolutely great it's being honored here, and I want a bit more.